Hi, Elaine. Thanks so much for taking the time to sit down with us on the Gemini Capital YouTube channel and have a chat with us.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So before we get into the core of today's discussion, could you please introduce yourself and tell us briefly how you came to lead Prismo Metals?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, Alain Lambert, I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Prismo Metals. My background is law and finance. And so I've been on the capital market side since August of 1987. I had the pleasure of living full-time in Tucson, Arizona between 2015 and 2019. I met two doctors in geology, Dr. Craig Gibson and Dr. Peter McGaw. And about 5 years ago, we united our efforts and created Prismo. Peter contributed a gold property in Mexico and Craig silver property in Mexico. And I did my capital markets thing, and I've been at the helm here since the founding of the company. So I take care of investor relations, strategic planning. I do a number of deals, and obviously all of the financings.
Awesome. And for anyone who might be watching that hasn't heard of Prismo Metals yet, could you give us a brief overview of the company?
So as I indicated, we started out in Mexico. Last year, we dropped one of the properties, the gold property. We still have the Palos Verdes silver project in Mexico. And interestingly enough, that's a great project that we drilled 7,000 meters on. And it's surrounded on three sides by Vizsla Silver. And Vizsla Silver to this day is the largest shareholder of Prismo Metals. But in 2023 and 2025, we optioned two projects, in fact, three projects, I should say, in Arizona. And that's really the core of our company now. In 2023, we optioned the Hot Breccia copper project, which is right in the heart of the Arizona copper belt. And then last year, we optioned the Silver King project and the Ripsey projects, both in Arizona. The Silver King is very close to Phoenix. It's about 55-minute drive from Phoenix International Airport on the east side of the town.
Yeah, and I know you covered a little bit about your properties and projects, but can you tell us a little bit about the regions and the infrastructure that make them stand out as key targets for you guys?
Yes, so let's talk. That's a great question because there's a lot to say about that. So let's start with Silver King, which is really the main focus of the company right now in terms of exploration. And as I said, Silver King is just outside the town of Superior, 55-minute drive from Phoenix International Airport. Great infrastructure in particular. Worthy of note is that we're completely surrounded by Resolution Copper. We also have as a neighbor Ivanhoe Electric, and Resolution Copper. Your listeners might know is one of the largest on-mine copper deposit in the world. It's a BHP and Rio Tinto joint venture, and Ivanhoe is a little bit to the north of us. So it's really an interesting area for big copper, big silver. And we just announced last week that we got our drill permit, and we're about to onboard into a drill program at Silver King. Further south, about 40 minutes south, is the Hot Breccia project. That is also very well located just outside the town of Hayden, where there's a smelter, the Asarco smelter, just by the Ray mine, not too far from Moranci. All big copper projects.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you touched upon the news release about the silver permitting at your King Mine project. I'd actually like to go back to that a little bit. So can you tell us a bit about the significance of that news? And then can you also touch upon your exploration strategy for this project?
Yes. So Silver King is a past silver producer. It produced 6 million ounces in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. It completely shut down in 1928. It's never been drilled. It's a well-known historic mine, but it's never been explored systematically, never been drilled. And so from old reports, old maps, old pictures, we have a fairly good understanding of the mine. It goes down to about 900 feet, and in those old maps, a large section of the mineralized bodies were left intact when it shut down in 1928. So we're going to start drilling close at surface, where we think we're going to encounter the mineralized body right from surface. It's going to be a series of short holes just to determine where the mineralized body is.
Mhm.
Some of these holes will be as short as 75 meters. Phase one is a total of 1,000 meters to get a better understanding of what's there. Now, that is fully funded, and we have other funds fully funded for at least another 1,000 meters, and that would be phase two. And then based on what we find during phase one, our keen interest is to drill at depth. As I said, it's about 900 meters down the shaft of the mine, the old mine. And we read in some reports that they were hitting some fairly high grades there, and it's never been tested at depth. Related to that, I just want to mention our close neighbor, the old Magma Mine. The old Magma Mine, which is about 1 kilometer from us, started out as a high-grade silver mine, and as they were mining it at depth, they discovered some very rich veins of copper, and then suddenly they became a very high-grade copper producer. And through some exploration work on the ground of the Magma Mine, it's how they discovered the Resolution copper deposit, as I mentioned earlier, which is a giant. When it goes into production, it's estimated that it will be producing about 25% of America's copper, and that's for 75 years. That's how big it is.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And we look forward to keeping up with some of those drill program results in the coming year. So I want to shift the focus a little bit for any potential investors or shareholders that might be watching. So one of my first questions is, how do you approach shareholder value, especially in a junior exploration company?
Well, I would say the first thing that comes to mind is to maximize expenditures on exploration. Very, very, very key. We have the way we operate here is none of our executives are on a salary. So we all have timesheets, and we get paid for the work we do. So that's very key. You also have to be sensitive to shareholder dilution. So try to minimize that. We've got just over 100 million shares outstanding. So call it 12 million, 11 million market cap. So we start our drill program with a very low market cap. And then the other thing I would say for shareholder value, you should have executives like me who go on the road and tell the story to investors, do interview with people like you.
Yeah.
And you want to keep the chief exploration officer and his team in the field where they will themselves create the most value.
Yeah, of course. And I'm curious to know, what message do you have for potential investors who may be watching right now on why Prismo Metals is a meaningful investment for them to make?
Well, the number one thing is the location of Silver King. Silver King is, I like to refer to it as the hole in the donut. So we're the hole, and then the donut is BHP and Rio Tinto with Resolution Copper, and a little bit to the north, Ivanhoe Electric. And so we did a lot of exploration on surface last year, 5 months worth. We did some geophysics, and we have a very, very good understanding of the geology now. And so much so that we've had inbound inquiries from some of our neighbors who have been on site to look at what we have, because it's big copper country, and having a rich silver mine, as I mentioned, is reminiscent of what happened at Magma Mine, which led to the discovery of the giant So we're excited to drill. People should follow our drill results. The way we're going to do it is that we're going to do the first 1,000 meters. We're going to analyze all of it, and we're going to release it all in one batch. I know that, investors, retail investors are keen to get results, and they, sometimes they'd like to see one hole at a time. That's not how we're going to do it. We're going to get the best possible understanding of what's going on at Silver King. We're going to release that, and I'm really looking forward to phase 2, which is let's go see down there underneath the old mine what's there. Might be some big copper. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm sure investors will appreciate all the results coming out at once so that they really get a good look at the big picture. So finally, for one of my last questions, I'm really just curious to know what you can tell us about the next year or two for Prismo Metals. Like, can you give us a little bit of insight onto what's on the horizon for the company?
So this year, so there are going to be two main things. One is an exploration program at Silver King, phase 1, phase 2. Get a better understanding of what's there. And as I mentioned, we've had inbound calls from our neighbors, and everybody's interested in what we have. And so we're going to find the best way forward. It could be that we partner up or, see how we can further advance the project. We've got some copper targets that we talked about in our news releases on the east side of our project. So there is going to be big drilling activity throughout the year. The other thing that shareholders should keep an eye out for is how we're going to unlock the value of Hot Breccia, this very large, deep-seated copper prospect, which is 40 minutes from Silver King. And so for those who are shareholders of ours, they would know, and for you, the new your audience, which might become shareholders of our company, Hot Breccia is something that we're very keen on drilling, but it's a big ticket item. It's deep seated. You need to do at least 5,000 meters. You need to commit $3.5 to $5 million in drilling to know what's there. And so we're finding a way now to unlock that value by, as we mentioned in some of our news releases, and doing some kind of a joint venture or deal with a partner that will bring the capital. And we remain committed to drilling Hot Breccia in 2026.
Awesome. So sounds like there's a lot of great things on the roadmap for the company, and a lot of great things to follow in the news as well for us. So we're coming up on the end of our time today, Alain, but I just want to thank you again for taking the time out of your day for this wonderful and insightful conversation. I myself have learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers have as well. And I'm excited to keep up with Prismo Metals in the coming years, and I wish you and the rest of your team continued success.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for your time as well.
Thank you.